While the world is focusing on the public fallout between India and Canada over the murder of Canadian citizen and Sikh activist Hardeep Singh Nijjar, China has used the opportunity to highlight what it calls the United States' hypocrisy over its involvement in and response to the incident. Beijing has no love lost for Ottawa or New Delhi, given the tense ties it shares with them both over diplomatic and border issues. And the growing divide between India and Canada is being watched closely by observers in the East Asian country. China's Global Times newspaper, which is the mouthpiece of the Chinese Communist Party, published 5 news reports in 3 consecutive days covering the India-Canada spat. All 5 features were less focused on New Delhi and Ottawa and more on exposing the double standards of the US. Of the 5, 3 pieces were headlined, "Escalating India-Canada Spat Highlights Hypocrisy of US Values-Based Alliances." "Collective Silence on Canada-India Spat Showcases West's Typical Double Standards." And "As Canada-India Diplomatic Row Escalates, US Finds Itself in a Dilemma." One of the commentaries, which cited Li Haidong, a professor at the Chinese government-run Foreign Affairs University in Beijing, warned India that the incident is a timely reminder it has ideological differences with the West, which still has a colonial mindset, and hence it is impossible for the West to cooperate with India on equal footing. The same piece cited Yang Xiyu, a senior research fellow at the China Institute of International Studies, who said that the matter demonstrated a typical double standard act of the West. It said, if the spat had happened between Canada and a country outside of the Western friend circle, the camp would definitely have reacted in a different manner, such as condemning the country as being in violation of human rights. However, given India's geopolitical value, the US-led West has long chosen to turn a blind eye to its human rights issues. In an opinion piece published in the Global Times, the author makes a similar argument that the US-led West's praise for India's democracy and democracy in general is driven by geopolitical interests and not values. The article argues that the accusations of human rights abuses against India under the current regime, which the US has raised privately with Prime Minister Narendra Modi, have not stopped the West from courting it because it wants to use New Delhi to counter China in the Indo-Pacific region. The Global Times piece said that this episode demonstrates the vulnerability of the US in building such alliances. Apart from the Chinese discourse, the US has also taken center stage in the India-Canada clash in the world media. American spy agencies reportedly shared intelligence with Canada regarding the killing of Nijjar. After 2 masked men killed Nijjar outside of a Sikh temple in Surrey, British Columbia in June, the US provided Ottawa with information to support Canada's conclusion that Indian agents carried out the assassination. Washington wasn't aware of the killing ahead of time and did not share any smoking gun evidence, but helped provide additional context to its close ally, US intelligence sources told the New York Times. This was later confirmed by US Ambassador to Canada.
There was shared intelligence among Five Eyes partners that helped lead Canada to making the statements that the Prime Minister made.
There is also a report by The Intercept which says that the FBI agents visited several Sikh activists in California this summer with an alarming message that their lives were also at risk after Nijjar's murder in Canada. The US itself has been involved in the killing of people on foreign land, including militants Osama bin Laden and Ayman al-Zawahiri in Afghanistan, as well as Iranian military officer Qasem Soleimani in Iraq in recent time. Washington has so far maintained that it is deeply concerned about Canada's allegations against India.
We are deeply concerned about the allegations that Prime Minister Trudeau has raised. We have been consulting throughout very closely with our Canadian colleagues, and not just consulting, coordinating with them on this issue. From our perspective, it is critical that the Canadian investigation proceed, and it would be important that India work with the Canadians on this investigation. We want to see accountability, and it's important that the investigation run its course and lead to that result.
In its lead foreign affairs story titled, Falling Out? Western countries launch India sees. Another online Chinese news platform, Guancha CN, blamed Canada for provoking India. The piece read, Canada lacks strategic autonomy in defense and security and needs to rely on the United States in exchange for its own security. In recent years, to show its loyalty to the United States in order to win the favor and trust of the U.S., Canada has been provoking China too. Now, instigated by the US, it is causing trouble for India. Some left-leaning digital news platforms have described the tensions as India in for big trouble. A Chinese leftist blog cited remarks made by Jocelyn Coulon, a former advisor to Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, which claimed that Canada's accusation will have a bomb-like impact around the world, which will make India be regarded as a national group that assassinated political opponents abroad. In an analysis of Cullen's remark, the Chinese commentary claimed, if Canada goes on to prove India's hand in the killing, it would mean India could be classified in the West among terrorist countries along with Iran, Cuba, Syria, and Russia, as per an Indian Express report. Tensions between India and Canada are at an all-time high after Prime Minister Justin Trudeau accused the Indian government of being involved in the killing of Nijjar. Canada also expelled an Indian diplomat soon after. India dismissed the allegations as absurd and motivated, adding that Canada has been turning a blind eye to India's concerns about separatist activities. India summoned the Canadian High Commissioner and expelled a diplomat in retaliation. This was followed by advisories issued to their citizens living in India and Canada, respectively. While Ottawa has appealed for New Delhi's cooperation in investigating the incident, India has claimed that it has yet to receive any specific information from Canada. While the jury is still out on whether Indian government agents were behind Nijjar's murder or not, the incident has brought into sharp focus an incendiary facet of the New World Disorder, assassinations. Killings of dissidents and terrorists, and political or military figures are as old as politics itself, but their incidents may now be on the rise.